Today, NVIDIA is the brain behind artificial intelligence and quite literally defines the future of our entire civilization. Its market capitalization at the beginning of 2025 exceeds $3.3 trillion, which is comparable to the GDP of a country like India. But it all began with a dream, shared by three young people and a starting capital of just $40,000. How did it happen that a small startup turned into a global giant, shaping the future in nearly every sphere of our lives? In April 1993, three engineer friends met for lunch at a Denny's restaurant in San Jose, California. Their names were Jensen Huang, Chris Malachowski, and Curtis PR. At the time, these three had no idea that the decision they were about to make would forever change the world of modern technology and mark the beginning of their journey to global success. Chris Malachowski and Curtis PR were working as engineers at Sun Microsystems, specializing in graphics systems. They knew each other through their work and often discussed the possibilities of applying graphics technologies. Jensen Huang, the future head of the company, was working at LSI Logic as the director of microprocessor development. It was there that he gained valuable experience in managing complex processes. The three met at a conference and began regularly meeting over lunches, discussing modern technologies. They were passionate about their work and felt they were capable of achieving something greater. One of these lunches, Jensen Huang proposed starting their own company to develop graphics processes. Jensen was the youngest of the three, but the most charismatic. He convinced Chris and Curtis that they could create a unique and high-quality product that didn't exist on the market at the time, and for the benefit of all civilization. The friends agreed. In the early 1990s, the market for video games and PC graphics was growing rapidly, and they realized that the existing technologies were not powerful enough for high-quality 3D rendering. Our young heroes firmly believed that graphics processing units, rather than central processing units, would become the key component of computing technology. They wanted to be the first to offer an effective solution. And so, the decision was made. However, starting a company required serious investment, and the team managed to scrape together only $40,000 from their personal savings. From the very beginning, the team faced a major challenge: how to organize their work in a way that would allow them to compete with industry giants without having significant financial resources. They rented a small office in Silicon Valley for $500 a month. Each team member had a clear understanding of their role. Jensen Huang, with his exceptional leadership qualities, took charge of running the company. Chris Malachowski was responsible for engineering, and Curtis PR focused on designing the architecture of graphics processors. They worked with great discipline and dedication. Every morning started with a team meeting where they discussed priorities, tasks, and potential challenges. At the time, the team couldn't afford to hire additional employees. Consequently, each person had to handle multiple tasks. If they were designing GPU prototypes during the day, they were preparing presentations for potential investors in the evenings. Their workday sometimes lasted up to 16 hours, but they found purpose in what they were doing and believed it was their path to success. Those first few years were incredibly challenging. The NVIDIA team consisted of only a handful of people who worked almost every day without a break. The initial $40,000 in capital was quickly running out, and it became critical for the company to find investors. Huang, as the CEO and the face of the company, played a key role in securing investments. He met with dozens of venture capital firms in Silicon Valley, presenting his vision for the future of graphics technology and persuading investors of the massive potential in the market. However, most investors turned them down. They didn't believe in the idea, and the technologies Huang spoke of seemed impossible and too far-fetched. Huang decided to hold as many presentations as necessary until at least one investor believed in their idea. It seemed like a fanatical approach, but it was their persistence that paid off. He held dozens of such meetings, and through sheer persistence, he finally managed to secure funding. NVIDIA received its first major support from Sequoia Capital, one of the most respected players in the venture capital market. Sequoia invested millions of dollars into NVIDIA, believing in its founders and potential. This marked a critical turning point for the company, as having such a prominent investor gained NVIDIA credibility and prestige, which in turn attracted new partners. The first big step toward success came with the creation of the NV1 graphics processor in 1995. NVIDIA raised $10 million in funding to develop it. Although the product wasn't a commercial hit, it allowed the company to make its mark in the industry. NVIDIA actively engaged with gaming studios, studied their needs, and collected feedback, setting the stage for future breakthroughs. But the real breakthrough came in 1999 when NVIDIA released the GeForce 256, the world's first graphics processor capable of real-time 3D rendering. This moment was a turning point in the company's history. The GeForce 256 revolutionized the gaming industry, bringing NVIDIA more than $200 million in its first year of sales.
Gamers around the world were thrilled, and NVIDIA quickly began to dominate the market. The success of the GeForce was due in large part to the team's unique approach to organizing their work. They implemented a rigorous system of quality control and testing. Every prototype of a new product underwent dozens of tests before its release. Inspired by the success of the GeForce, the team began to expand. By 2001, the company had over 500 employees, and its annual revenue exceeded $500 million. This growth enabled NVIDIA to start investing in long-term research development. Despite its successes and rapid growth, NVIDIA faced a series of significant challenges and crises in the early 2000s. This period became a crucial test that ultimately strengthened the company and helped it build a more resilient business model. When the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, the entire tech sector experienced a sharp downturn. Many companies shut down, venture capital investments dried up, and trust in new startups plummeted. NVIDIA, still in the phase of active growth at the time, also felt the impact. Demand for the company's products dropped sharply, leading to a significant slowdown in NVIDIA's GPU sales, particularly in the premium segment. The decline in sales discouraged venture capitalists from investing in NVIDIA. Investors preferred to back more established businesses, forcing NVIDIA to rely on its own revenues and resources. Additionally, amid intense competition and low demand, GPU prices also plummeted, putting NVIDIA under significant pressure. Profits shrank, and to remain competitive, the company had to reduce prices on its products. Seizing the moment, ATI managed to capture a portion of the market by releasing the successful Radeon series, which outperformed NVIDIA's products in certain aspects. It seemed like the company's future was in jeopardy, but Jensen Huang made a pivotal decision at the time. Despite the sharp decline in profits, the company continued to invest in research and development, funded through strict cost-cutting measures. As a result of this challenging period, NVIDIA learned how to optimize its expenses more effectively and become self-sufficient. However, the challenges didn't end there. In 2002, ATI released the Radeon 9700 Pro, which outperformed the GeForce 4 in terms of performance. NVIDIA was forced to urgently develop a new generation of GPUs to reclaim its leadership position. Fortunately, the company already had some groundwork thanks to its R&D investments. But in their haste, NVIDIA made a series of mistakes. In 2003, the company released the GeForce 5 series intended as a response to ATI's success. However, this lineup proved to be less successful than expected. The GeForce 5 cards consumed more power than competing products and featured noisy cooling systems, which drew criticism from users. Even more disappointing, the GeForce 5 series failed to deliver high performance. This product line was perceived as a step backward compared to NVIDIA's earlier successes, weakening its market position. However, instead of cutting costs, the company redoubled its efforts to create more powerful and innovative products. Jensen Huang understood that only a high-quality product could pull the company out of the crisis and restore its leadership. At the time, NVIDIA poured all its resources into research and the development of groundbreaking technology, and this led to the release of the GeForce 6 series in 2004, which restored NVIDIA's market leadership thanks to its outstanding performance and energy efficiency. NVIDIA became the king of the gaming industry, with everyone dreaming of gaming on GeForce 6 graphics cards. Their GPUs began to be used not only in gaming, but also in other fields: cinema, medicine, engineering, and even scientific research. By 2005, the company's revenue had exceeded $1 billion, solidifying its dominance in the industry. At the same time, the company took a bold step toward the future. Under Jensen Huang's leadership, NVIDIA began developing the CUDA platform, which laid the foundation for the future use of GPUs in scientific research, artificial intelligence, and other professional fields. Thanks to CUDA, scientists were able to perform complex calculations that previously took weeks in just a matter of hours. NVIDIA invested over $100 million into developing this platform, and the results exceeded expectations. This period strengthened NVIDIA and helped it craft a strategy that turned it into a global leader in graphics processes and artificial intelligence. It's impossible to talk about NVIDIA without mentioning its leader, Jensen Huang. His charisma, vision, and passion for innovation have made him one of the most remarkable executives of our time. Huang was never afraid to take risks and always bet on the technologies of the future. Under his leadership, NVIDIA transformed from a small startup with revenues in the tens of thousands of dollars into a global leader with a market capitalization exceeding $3 trillion by early 2025. Huang is known for his unique leadership style. He always supports his team and fosters an atmosphere of creativity and openness. His famous conference presentations are not just business pitches, but full-fledged shows that inspire millions of people around the world. Today, NVIDIA continues to push forward, opening new frontiers. Its technologies are reshaping our vision of the future, making it brighter, smarter, and more advanced. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to catch more stories about other successful companies.